I'll be talking about should Tusk from Killer Instinct be a guest character in the new Street Fighter 6? So, Street Fighter 6 is coming around the corner. We've had announcements for the game and people are hype. It's been a minute since we've had a Soul Calibur title. Hold up, have I been saying Street Fighter this whole time? Blah, 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 blah. Let me roll back. Yo, Soul Calibur 6 is coming soon, and people... Wow, we just had like technical difficulty after technical difficulty. Anyways, getting back on track. Hello everyone, welcome to the stream. I know, sorry, I've been running for like a minute or so, but I might as well start over because I feel like I already messed up. This video is talking about whether or not the Killer Instinct character, Tusk, should be a guest character in the upcoming Soul Calibur 6. It's been a minute since we had a Soul Calibur game, and Tusk is a Killer Instinct character that I've honestly not really cared for in the past. You know, I saw him, I saw his design, to me he looked really generic, and I didn't make anything of him. But I've been watching some 2017 Killer Instinct tournament footage of, like, people in finals of the tournament using Tusk and using Tusk very well, and people constantly talking about how Tusk is really good in high-level play, and that shows that, like, people in the fighting game community who play at high levels, like, are familiar with Tusk and think that Tusk is a cool enough character for them to play in tournament. So, with that being said, since Tusk has such a high popularity and such Killer Instinct is already a really popular fighting game, with Soul Calibur 6 more than likely going to have some guest characters in the game, would it be fair for Tusk to be a guest character in Soul Calibur 6? In my opinion, I wish that Killer Instinct had more of a fan following than it does, but considering the fact that I don't really hear about Killer Instinct that often from even other people who play fighting games, because I normally hear about Soul Calibur 5 for the most part, outside of like my normal group of friends to which we normally talk about stuff like Blaze Blue and Guilty Gear. We're more in tune with like the anime fighters. And then when I go to the CU, where a lot of people play video games at my college, I normally hear more about like Tekken. So like I hear a lot about Tekken, and I hear a lot about anime fighters, but Killer Instinct kind of has like that niche audience, so there aren't like a ton of Killer Instinct people that I see around who are like really into KI. But because Killer Instinct is already kind of like a side game for a lot of people, like they're aware of its existence, but they're not really into it, I'm not sure if taking Tusk from Killer Instinct would be the best option for a guest character. Now, I honestly think that he would be a really nice Killer Instinct guest character for Soul Calibur 6. Keep in mind, I don't even care for Tusk personally, but his style of fighting is heavily sword-based, so I feel like it works better to have Tusk be the guest character for Soul Calibur 6 rather than a more recognizable Killer Instinct character, because that's where my other argument was going, considering the fact that having a Killer Instinct character as a guest character would be something for the Soul Calibur 6 developers to do in order to appeal directly to Killer Instinct players. Good to see Professor Trevenant. Having Tusk as a guest character, I guess, wouldn't be as cool, per se, as having, like, Jago as a guest character. Jago being, like, the generic base character that most people are familiar with and most people play in Killer Instinct. So Professor Trevenant said, also, is a writer what you want to be? Actually, no, Professor Trevenant. I am working on a cybersecurity bachelor's degree. I'm currently in my junior year of college. But yeah, I focus mainly on, like, cybersecurity. I would love to be a penetration tester, but after attempting the Certified Ethical Hacker exam, I know that I have a long way to go on that. I'm well versed in Python, and I've been working on Python programming for like the last few years now, and that's where I truly feel confident. But to get things a little bit back on track with like the topic of the video at hand, I feel like Tusk sword-based combat works way better for Soul Calibur 6, and having a more sword-based character. Jago has a sword, but Jago's sword play isn't like heavily based into how he plays in the game, which is why I think Tusk would just be better as a Soul Calibur 6 guest character. Getting back to what you were saying, Professor Trevenant, you asked, so why the book? So the dramatic reading that I did was not for my own story, but for a story that was written by my friend Wink, aka, trying to remember her Wattpad name. Her Wattpad name is It has skeleton in it. Popcorn Skeleton. Popcorn Skeleton is her Wattpad name. So the dramatic reading that I did was for her story, and I did that to make sure that I read her story. I have a bad habit of when a friend goes like, hey, check out my thing, that I end up not checking out their thing. But I have a really good habit about like making videos. So if I make a video about something that you recommend, it's more likely that I'll actually like look at that thing, because I have to do the video, pretty much. Well, so let's see. I covered the Tusk thing. Also, I feel like Tusk's design, while he does look really generic in Killer Instinct, where Killer Instinct has all these like crazy characters, in Soul Calibur 6, I feel like he would fit right in. He has that like, I could be a mythological character aspect of him, while he still is like, but I'm a guy with a big sword, and I feel like that just fits Soul Calibur 6 really well. When it comes to my own writing of books, I write and publish books as a hobby. I've actually published more than 10 books, I'd imagine, by now. And you can get many of them in paperback, available on Amazon. You just type in Nicholas Benson or Nicholas Alexander Benson in Amazon, specify it to be like the book section, and you should see several books that are mine. There are a few other authors that either have the name Nicholas or Benson that will come up, but I feel like my books are rather distinct, in a way to where you'll be able to recognize which ones are mine versus which ones are not mine. But if you have any questions, always feel free to post in the comment section below if you're not sure and you're trying to find books that I've written. But yeah, I write books more as a hobby, and it's a way that I can and have made money, but it's not what I want to do as my main source of income. Not saying that I wouldn't, like, become a writer, but hey, you know, anything can happen. Professor Trevin said, Jago, my main man. I hope he comes in. Yo, I mean, Jago in Soul Calibur 6 would be tight. I'm not disagreeing, but I feel like for Soul Calibur 6, it's just not, like, the best Killer Instinct character to choose. I mean, you want a character that has, like, predominantly sword-based combat. Professor Trevin said, I have a novel written called The Scythe at Midnight, and a parody adventure series, Shared Universe, in the works, based around a family. And the book and the surname is called The Spears. And then the tagline is Spearing Through Satire. Oh, nice. Definitely tell me, like, more about your novel. I definitely would love to hear about it. Also, feel free to, like, send me, like, little things if you want me to do dramatic readings or even, like, a review where I give my opinion of, like, what you've written. I really like looking at other people's works, but as I said, I have trouble, like, making sure I look at other people's works if I don't do a video on it. So me doing a video on it is, like, my way of, like, focusing. Professor Trevin said, will do. Nice. But yeah, I'm not sure what other Killer Instinct characters I would want to see in a Soul Calibur game. Because to me, Soul Calibur is swords, swords, swords. And of course you can fight with other weapons in Soul Calibur, but I mean, it's all about them swords though. And when it comes to a character who's all about their swords, Tusk. I mean, definitely Tusk. Professor Trevin said, bring back Darth Vader. I mean, sure, but now we're like in modern Star Wars. Why not like Kylo Ren? Why not like like Rey, someone who directly relates to the modern movies that are out? Also, don't forget to smash that like button. Truly appreciate it. I guess, because it doesn't have to be swords, but I still would prefer swords if we're going to do like a guest character. I'm thinking Shadow Jago. Shadow Jago sounds broken as fuck. I don't know. Like, he kind of doesn't need to be in Soul Calibur 6 because Shadow Jago is just like, Shadow Jago is really good in his own game. I feel like in Soul Calibur 6 he'll be like a little too broken, but I would still love to see how he'd be implemented. I bring that up because I played a little bit of Soul Calibur while I was hanging out at Dozer's house, and my favorite character to play was this one character who was able to teleport, and I didn't even know Soul Calibur characters could do shit like teleportation. So I feel like Shadow Jago would be a great teleportation-based character that you could have in Soul Calibur 6, and he does have the sword. I don't know, and I feel like Shadow Jago, he would get people hype. He would definitely get people hype, regardless of whether or not you're familiar with Killer Instinct or not. Shadow Jago would just be like a cool character in general. I love his like dark mystique. I love his like crazy moves that he's able to do in Killer Instinct, and I would love to see how they would translate those into a 3D fighting game. So that would be really dope. I feel like I said dope a lot in like the last few moments. But yeah, what do you all think of this video? What do you guys think of the idea of having Killer Instinct characters as guest characters in Soul Calibur 6 in the first place? What do you think of Tusk specifically, since that was like the theme of the video? Feel free to ask any questions and put your thoughts below in the comment section. Professor Trevenant said, nostalgia beats the new shit. I mean, I see where you're coming from. The idea that, like, even though Rey and Kylo Ren are more relevant as Star Wars-based guest characters to Soul Calibur 6, people are still bigger fans of, like, the old school characters from, like, the older Star Wars films. So I can feel you on that. But yeah, thank you all once again for watching. If you like this video, make sure to like this video. Favorite, comment, subscribe, and ding ding ding, ring that bell to be notified whenever we do these live streams. Thank you all once again for watching, and have a wonderful day. This is your host, your friend, your boy, Jet Black, the one and only, logging out. Peace.